Friends, today we are getting a couple shrubs in the ground. And yes, I bought more boxwoods that hate their life out front, but I'm hopeful that they'll be happier down here. I don't know. I got a couple things that I'm gonna try, but essentially it is time for me to start getting a lot of my evergreen layer in the ground. And I'm starting off with two selections here. If I have time, I have a hydrangea that is in need of a home, and I think I may pop that in as well. To start with, we've got my boxwoods, and I've got this cute little juniper. Okay, first and foremost, the boxwoods. You know I already have a variegated boxwood down here, and I had thought about potentially putting a variegated boxwood right here down to the right of my stairs, but I kind of felt like the design of this garden is feeling very unstructured. It's feeling very wild. It's feeling more plant collector. And so with that in mind, I want to make sure I have some beautiful symmetry and some beautiful structure going through this garden to contrast off of that wildness. So I decided to go with a Green Mountain Boxwood. Now, this is a boxwood I've used, oh my gosh, 8 million different ways. But I love this one because it's a bit more columnar. So it's not as upright as, say, like a green tower. That's very columnar. A Green Mountain is going to be more of that cone pyramid shape, which is really lovely. I also wanted to get some height on either side of my stairs here because I felt like this needed some presence. So the Green Mountain Boxwood, if you are not familiar with this one, these are just grown by Monrovia, but a lot of different growers have them. And they get about 3 feet wide, 5 feet tall. They take very well to pruning, shaping, all that. So one thought I had in my head was I could do cones, I could do little pyramids here. I can have a really good time and shape these into kind of more of a sculptural element. So I'm gonna get these guys in. One thing to note about boxwoods in general is if you buy them and there's a little bit of yellow margin to the leaf, that is an indication that they need fertilizer. These are just starting to show that yellowing margin. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plant this with some beautiful biotone starter fertilizer, but during the growing season, I'm actually gonna hit this with a new fertilizer that I've just discovered, and it's called True Box. And so I'm gonna start treating the ones out front. We're gonna treat these, and we're just gonna see how it goes. So stay tuned, because that is also what's called a foliar feed. So I'm gonna use it to actually spray down the boxwoods during their growing season. I'm not gonna do it now because I just want these guys to get cozy in their hole and kind of wake up slowly. But that is the plan for getting these off to a really good start. The huge blessing with designing this garden in the middle of winter and only being really able to put in shrubs and evergreens at this time is it helps emphasize where I want my structural moments in the garden. For me, these steps are so beautiful, and it creates such a moment to enter down into this space that by placing them in a symmetrical position, it actually is going to help further drive home a sense of place, a sense of arrival. And so when you're talking about your evergreen moments, when you're doing design work, it's equally as important to think about where you want the framework to be, as well as where do you want to lead the people who are living in your home, who are visiting your home. And so for me, a symmetrical placement right here by the steps, it creates a moment of arrival and a bit of a baby portal as you come down into this lower garden. You guys, I love my power planter so much. It has to be one of my top purchases of 2025 because look at this hole. It is precision. And I think that's the other thing. I am planning a really symmetrical placement on either side of my stairs here. And so I literally know exactly where 14 inches is. It's right here at the outside. And then also, a lot of times when you do a landscaping project, you will invariably have pockets of gravel in places throughout your garden, which is exactly what I went through here. And it was through it, I mean, just like that. It was so easy. Okay, I gotta get my fertilizer and we're getting these boxwoods in. So this boxwood is actually in really good condition. It's not very root bound at all, but I'm still gonna give it just a little bit of a slice across the bottom to start loosening these roots. Look how gorgeous that is. That is awesome. I know some people who kind of like go down the sides as well. I kind of feel like that's overkill. But if you do have something that's especially root bound, that can actually really help to kind of loosen things up and get this sucker settled in. Oh my gosh, it's looking so good. That is ridiculous. That's perfect. Okay, let me just lift this out to double check to make sure that that hole is spot on. And then, you guys, she's in. So good. Holy. Okay, that is like perfection. One thing I think I am gonna do though, is so I've put some basic biotone down in the bottom, and then what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna top dress this area with a little bit of compost because I want the rains to kind of soak a lot of those nutrients down into the soil. And so after I get the other one planted, we're just gonna hit it with a little bit of compost, and that is it. Oh, I'm making a mess over here. All right, one thing I'm kind of doing here is I'm double checking to make sure I'm 14 inches off of this step. And I could actually go this way just a little bit more. We've just spent the last 10 minutes with me trying to explain why I'm choosing 14 inches from the edge of the step. I'm planning for this sucker to grow to be upwards of 3 feet at the base of this little pyramid cone situation. And essentially, if you take half the pot and you subtract it from 18, you get to like an inch from the base of this step, which is where I want it to be. I want it to be just a little bit off. I want to be able to have some really great things in front. I want to have some ephemeral, fluffy bits in the back of it. So here we go. Also, I haven't decided whether these future Green Mountain Boxwoods are going to be a little cute cone, or maybe they will be a pyramid, or maybe I will change my mind every year. But this is why I chose this plant. Are you ready for my lazy girl plant hack? No shrub is ever planted perfectly in the center of a container. And so sometimes if you need to adjust your hole, just adjust how you're putting the plant in the hole. So this guy right here, it's planted actually towards the back here, and I don't want to dig my hole back anymore. And so guess what? This is now the face of my shrub because it's bigger here. Look at that. Like magic. I am about ready to do what I've been threatening Brian not to do. He keeps walking in these beds and all of my alliums are coming up. So treacherous. It's treacherous this time of year. I think I need 1 inch out on that side. God, that is really close though. 18, 19. I'm an inch off. Oh. That's the thing about planting things like this though. An inch, I mean, I could probably prune it over time and take back that inch, but man, I'm gonna know that inch is there. Next decision. This is kind of a funny one, and I'm almost like afraid to show this to you, but I'm doing it anyways. This is a juniper. It is called Blue Star, and it's this adorable tiny juniper. You can get this so readily. This for me is, I think this is like people in California, they're like, ugh, agapanthus, like I see it everywhere. Well, here's the little Blue Star Juniper, and guess what? I see it everywhere, and it is such a pedestrian plant. However, the thing that I love about it is it's such a dwarf evergreen. I can shape it. I can I mean, honestly, you can abuse this thing and it's like, yep, we're still here. We're still doing our thing. And I think with quick draining soil, like I have here, that's incredibly sandy, I have to think about what are the plants that I can put in here that I just don't have to worry about. And a juniper is it. So here's what I have decided to do. The reason I'm choosing this plant for this location is it can take the full beating sun. It's right next to this metal edge, so it's gonna have a little bit of heat on it, which it's gonna love. The other thing is this blue cast right across from where I am positioning this is all of my my stackies, my Helen von Stein lamb's ear. And this mirrors that blue coloration. And so we talk about repetition of plants in a garden when you're doing design work. Well, let's talk about repetition of color, and let's talk about repetition of foliage color. That is so crucial. It is so important. And so for me to put this little kind of shot of silver here, it's going to be fabulous. Now, I expect this guy to maybe get 3 feet tall, maybe. I usually see this stay around 2 feet with maybe a 3-foot stretch. And so over here, it's gonna be lovely. And I expect it to spread, and I'll keep it kind of tamed right around this metal edge. It'll just be like a nice anchor moment. It'll also help us start to build to my little Tudor structure here, which is gonna get the clematis coming through this side and the rose off the back. Here's the other thing with positioning and foliage color. I know that this is this beautiful silver color, and behind it is that Ragucci clematis. The Ragucci clematis has a very deep, beautiful green. And so the two foliages together, that's like such a yummy contrast. We've got a spikiness, we've got a deep green, kind of more broad leaf, and that contrast creates awesome visual interest in the garden. So I'm gonna put it here. I may change my mind later, but guess what? It's a juniper, and you can move this thing all day long. I feel like you guys have seen me do this 8,000 times. Biotone, always, it's what I prefer. I'm gonna slap this bad right in there, and you know what? I actually don't think I'm gonna use a whole lot of compost because this soil looks amazing. Look at this thing. Not root bound at all, super like new baby root system, gorgeous top. But this guy, I'm actually gonna put in like this because you see how we have this cute little triangle? I kind of like that it's snugged up to this round shape here. You guys, perfect, perfection. That literally could not be easier. Oh, and then also, here's the other thing I'm noticing. I have about 8 million little things of grass coming up everywhere. So as I go through, I'm gonna give all of this a really good weed whenever I'm down here because man, the soil is already warming up and I gotta stay on top of these weeds before I get overrun. Welcome to the random corner of my garden. Now, this little corner, this little area used to be a mound of weedy extra soil from other projects. And it has now become a gorgeous garden bed that I'm super excited about. And I've already got a couple of things in mind. I haven't purchased these items yet, but I know what's going to be coming in here. I'm actually gonna do a little sweep of evergreens, a tidy little kind of micro hedge that's gonna swing around the back. So starting here at my little landing area and running all the way around to here. Okay, that's gonna be my evergreen structure. And then also tree is gonna go right here. And I'm on the hunt for a multi-trunk tree. Now, when I'm designing gardens, something I think about is doing an evergreen sandwich. So I'll do like evergreen, deciduous or perennial, and then another evergreen because it helps keep the garden feeling lived in even in the middle of winter. So if you think about the little evergreen hedge that's going to be coming down here, right? And then I have my boxwood, my evergreen boxwood right down there. It now creates a moment for some deciduous items right here. And I want to show you what's going in next. Okay, are we ready? This is a very sad looking hydrangea. Here's the story. This is a hydrangea called FlowerFull hydrangea. And it's a type of hydrangea called an arborescens. Now, I love an arborescens, and typically I will design with either an Annabelle, but I will only use Annabelle if I have like a boxwood hedge in front of it, or a rock wall in front of it. Oh my gosh, an Annabelle drooped onto a rock wall, amazing. If I don't have something like that in place, I will typically use a arborescens. There's one called Seaside Bar Harbor. You guys, that one is so good. That one is so good. That one is a Monrovia, so if you can find that one is excellent, and I find is less prone to flopping than Annabelle. If you also like that look, you can look at Incredible. Now, all of these are really big ones. However, I need something that's going to be in the 3 to 4 foot range for this space. So I'm gonna use this little guy. And this is a new introduction. I think it was new last year, but it's one called FlowerFull. It's another arborescens hydrangea. So these are commonly referred to as the smooth hydrangeas. And it's supposed to be able to take full sun and not flop. Now, I will typically not play with new items in other people's garden, but I will play with new items in my garden because I like to see how they perform. And so if this says full sun, my goodness, we're gonna give it a run for its money. So this is the position I have it in. I love that you're gonna see this beautiful shot of white right as you're coming down the stairs. And the other thing is this is gonna get 3 to 4 feet tall. And so it'll be a nice transition point up to the tree behind me. So you always wanna think about how you're layering. Also positioning. I've got evergreen in the front, I've got evergreen in the back. And so this position is gonna be perfect. And it also makes way for tons of little frothy bits at its feet and lots of creepy trailing things going over the edge of this rockery. And in fact, right here, this is my ground cover aster. And then also right here, I can see all of my Irish reticulata coming up. So this guy is adorable. I don't have my snips with me right now. And so I'll just prune this back another day. But arborescens hydrangeas, they're also one of the easiest to prunes because you just basically choose a spot and you whack everything back to that spot and it all blooms on new wood. So it's like really hard to screw this thing up. Okay, last plant for today. We're gonna get her in the ground. Eee! Ugh! Whoa! Okay. Perfect. Oh, awesome. So kind of funny story about how I ended up with this hydrangea. I actually got it from the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival last year. First Editions was coming out with a bunch of really cool new stuff. And they asked if I wanted one of these and I featured it in one of my pots at the show. It was actually in the little trio of pots that was right next to my bench. So if you came to the show, maybe we can insert a clip of it, but it was this beautiful little moment and it was such just a luscious, dreamy, feminine hydrangea. And so after the show was over, I brought it back to my nursery and I repotted it, which is why it's not in a First Editions pot. It's just in like this basic black one I had. But I just couldn't like bring myself to part with it because it was so cute. Almost a year later, she's going in my garden. And I keep like waiting for the perfect spot. And you guys, I feel like this is it. It's just gonna be feminine and lovely and bright. And I think that this white is gonna be really nice because I'm gonna work pops of white all throughout the garden. The other thing I was thinking of is I was thinking of repeating the blue from my little Blue Star Juniper and my Helen von Stein lamb's ear. I have this adorable Chamaecyparis. It's only 2 feet tall. It's really cute, but I was thinking that would be really sweet right here because I love the idea of this white, the like nice soft green leaf against a Chamaecyparis that's gonna have a little bit of blue to it. So anyways, all that to say, I am finally putting this little baby in the ground. No longer will she be tucked away in my nursery, languishing in a pot. First, 4 shrubs in the ground, 3 of them being beautiful evergreen choices. I feel so good. And you know what's funny is when you're working through your own garden, I've talked about doing the low-hanging fruit first. And for me, some of the items that we've done today, these are just like low-hanging fruit. I know where they go. They feel right in the position that I'm putting them in. And I cannot wait for this garden to take shape. Also, what making some of these decisions has done for me is it's opened up a bit of my creative space, a bit of my own creative juices. Today, I was struck with an insane amount of inspiration for the shady corner back there to my left that we have just created by building the casita. Because one thing I really lacked in this garden was shade, and I love a shade garden so much. So there we are, the few first evergreens in the ground, a little shrub action. Love it so much. Okay, I'm gonna see you in the next one. And in the meantime, say hello to your garden for me.